getting ready to put on our unit for an audition, but we thought we'd stop to, you know, talk about our friend Marilyn Manson. As a member of First Nation Storytellers, I had been sitting here at home on New Year's Day doing a little scribbling about, my thoughts on the situation. There is a possibility that this is for real and that this is a celebrity who was using his fame and his power dynamic to scam the draws out of these young women and assistants and other people in his universe, or there, according to his friends and allies and advocates, there could be another possibility. But I do feel like we need to talk about Marilyn Manson because he is a 90s icon. He's a musician and an artist, but all of the videos that I've seen in the last day or so on YouTube seem to make the case that he is giving Harvey Weinstein vibes. He's giving Ghislaine Maxwell vibes. He's giving Jeffrey Epstein vibes. He's all in the R. Kelly vibes and is coming across like a Jeffrey Star with a taser running around, being famous and impressive to his fans and groupies, and perhaps, doing wrong. Is that the case? That certainly is what a lot of people are claiming, and it's all very dramatic. But, I have to say, as an East Coaster, I get a little suspicious when girls talk like this and kind of deliver 45-minute videos in their baby voice, right? We know as women that you have an ability to make a choice about how your voice sounds, and it's just a little too cute to be talking about serious subjects with your voice like this, giving you Kardashian vibes and giving you, sort of hyper feminine, hyper vulnerable, fragile. As actors, we also know, is it for real? Is this really you and how you sound, or is this a put on? Question. I'm not judging, I just have questions. But, none of this is good, whether it's legitimate or an accusation. I won't characterize it as being false or otherwise, but you do wonder. His music is not maybe my taste, but I have friends who like him and like that whole aesthetic quite a lot. A lot of goth people who were hanging out at, what is it called? Cloak and Dagger, and people with the eyeliner and the black clothes. It's a very arresting aesthetic. And it doesn't make people bad by nature, but, one has to wonder, is Marilyn Manson really the devil in blue suede shoes? A lot of people are making claims, but it is possible that he's just a regular Joe, famous person who meets, the people he'll be romantically interested in, whether it's through work or employing them briefly or, however it happens. And adults catch bodies, right? They'll have sexual liaisons with people. They'll have romantic relationships where they catch the feels, but sometimes people lose the feels. They break up, and sometimes those exes become friends, and sometimes they're bitter and maybe they fade away. But does that necessarily give an ex the right to make accusations after the fact? If there's no report at the police department, the sheriff's department, or otherwise, anyone can say anything they want. I'm not saying, oh, something has to be proven in a court of law, but, it really does create more questions than answers. Marilyn Manson is this sort of like image and icon, the sort of like horror aesthetics of an Alice Cooper or what is it, Black Sabbath? These sort of like Uriah Heep, kind of creepy. Even Metallica has these like kind of black, images with the gallows and all that sort of thing, does that necessarily make the people who make those songs and play that music and portray those ideas, does it make them bad people? Like the people who produce American Horror Story, no one's confused and thinks they are actually doing horror in their real lives, right? Or if you're in a mafia movie, no one thinks you're really in the mafia. If you're a gangster rapper, often these gangster rappers turn out to have lived in, gated communities and gone to private school and, be what you call, I guess, white glove gangsters and not really in the life or in jail or anything like that. Does the man equal his image and music, or can we afford him the same grace that we give mafia movie actors and, sort of rappers, even like Travis Scott, who is, I'm told he was in Jack and Jill and he's not necessarily um, a desperado, right? He kind of walks that walk, but he doesn't really have any real gangster background and, just the swagger, I guess. But, you look at a Marilyn Manson and it's like, shaving off the eyebrows and all the creepy blood and scat and, um, you know, film and television and stage work that suggests some really, really creepy, dark stuff. It could just be a music video, right? Plenty of people have made music videos that have imagery of like violence and murder and, have songs that tell those stories, but it doesn't necessarily indict you as a perpetrator. It is also possible that, maybe he's a deep pockets character and maybe some people from his past got together and decided, he was ripe to be scammed, to be set up for a shakedown. Um, we can't say it never happens, but we also can't say that, and especially with the legacy of the whole Me Too movement, we can't say that people aren't legitimately victimized in the workplace or by romantic partners, present, former, past. We want to have an open mind, but I think that also includes having an open mind for the artist and someone who certainly makes a very juicy target for these kinds of accusations. And I mean, the first few videos that I happened to, encounter through YouTube really made it seem like, oh my God, this guy is, putting people in a bad girl room and all these really, very salacious details. But then you hear the next person talk about the same architecture in the same room as being like a closet. Which is it? I sort of like this to get sorted out because as juicy as it is also kind of terrifying if he is guilty of the things that he's accused of, right? It does sound so outrageous and impossible, but there was a point in time when people thought Weinstein was innocent and they thought that, the Epstein Maxwell accusations were just the stuff of fiction when there were certainly more things that went on than either party ever got convicted of. So you know you have to be careful. You have to be careful who you trust, and I think that goes for the victims, alleged victims of Marilyn Manson, as well as the allegedly um you know violent harasser, R-worder that could be Marilyn Manson. No one knows the truth of the matter yet. It hasn't been adjudicated, but it does sort of seem like a situation that if the right size check were written, would this all go away? What is the goal of the accusers at this point in time? In a world where lead actresses, successful actresses, may not make as much money as they could from endorsements or yachting or meeting wealthy people for, concerts or social events. There's certainly a lot of chatter on Reddit and other corners of the internet that suggests that being a successful actress doesn't necessarily set you up financially for stability. And is this some kind of play in that direction? Who knows? I'm just going live on New Year's Day, reading you what I've written in my purple cupcakes for breakfast notebook. You know, and I will be back for another discussion, just sort of breaking down the tribes, as it were, that live here in Hollywood on production sets. You know, I was fortunate enough to get some advice early on from a member of one of the unions about what to expect and what to think about all the different departments that work on movie and television sets. So I'm going to sign out for now and, you know, maybe have a snack, and I will be back hopefully tonight to read you the other, you know, pearls of wisdom from the furry purple notebook. First Nation storytellers getting it done on a chilly winter night here in Hollywood. Signing out for now. Be well, get your notebooks out, and write until you're satisfied. Okay, later on.